Hey everybody, we got our buddy Matt here from Portland Leather Goods.
Howdy.
Man, you guys are just on a tear. The new store looks awesome. I have had the privilege of being in HQ and seeing
Yeah,
all that stuff firsthand and seeing the store downstairs too. I mean, the product just lends itself so well to retail.
it does. Absolutely. That's the really exciting thing is just getting started, to your point, Mike.
Well, today we are going to talk about how Portland Leather and brands just like Portland Leather really have been able to unlock this large audience that is really not being hit through pure digital channels. These are people that are sitting in your Klaviyo list specifically. They've signed up, they've been there, but they're just not actively engaged. And I think you'll be shocked by how many people that actually represents and the value that you can get by targeting that segment that you're not reaching there.
For sure.
So, first, how does this work with Postpilot? And I think everybody probably knows who's on here, but just for those of you who are new to this, Postpilot's a direct mail platform that natively integrates with Shopify, with Klaviyo, allows you to send individually triggered direct mail cards just like you would send an email campaign or an email flow. So to integrate with Klaviyo, it's super, super fast and simple. There's just a one-click OAuth authentication, just like other apps. And then you're connected, and then we can sync with your Klaviyo lists and segments and use them as triggers, just like you would trigger an email campaign or an email flow. And what we're going to be talking about today is how this 1 + 1 = 3 effect, where you combine Klaviyo and direct mail to be able to hit just a much larger audience and drive incremental revenue from those folks who are on your Klaviyo list. And in particular, like again, you're hitting those folks that have not responded or engaged with your email campaign. So the goal is to drive incremental revenue through this channel and layer it on top of the campaigns and flows that you're already running in Klaviyo. So I would encourage everyone to do this right now if you have not done this before. Go into Klaviyo and create 2 segments. Create a segment of all people who have subscribed to your list and let's say purchased in the last 2 years. And then create a separate list or segment of people who have subscribed or purchased in the last, say, 2 years, but have clicked or opened an email in the last 30 or 60 days. What I think you'll find is typically less than 10% of that really rich audience that you have, people that have engaged with your brand, either by buying or subscribing to your list, have actually opened or engaged with one of your email campaigns in the last couple months. And that's what we're trying to unlock for you here is the ability to reach almost all of those people who have engaged with your brand, sort of raised their hand and said, we're interested in what you're doing, but we haven't converted yet. We haven't taken that action. And how do we get you to take that action? So to the man of the hour, the case study in direct mail success in so many ways, Portland Leather, like this is an example of just one of the campaigns that Portland Leather has launched to be able to tap that audience and is able to get engagement to a larger percentage of those people, as well as drive significant incremental revenue as a result of sending these campaigns.
Yeah, for sure. This one specifically, birthday flow is just, it's somewhat incredible because I think a lot of people know people feel on their birthday that they deserve that extra treat. That they feel, oh, their birthday comes around, they've earned something, they want to be a little bit more indulgent on themselves. Multiple studies and facts point to that. And so we originally just started out with collecting the birthday through loyalty, right? It's a great place to get a little bit more details and information on your customers. And that's great. And then when we do the email, do the SMS. And so then hooking up the API to Postpilot and then triggering the same kind of style of like, hey, you get points on your birthday. So shop with us. Like we want you to indulge. And so by tapping them through email and SMS, we levered it up and sent them the postcard as well. And we worked on a couple different sizes with it and kind of just honed it down to like a classic 4x6. Happy birthday. This is your day. It's all about you. So we're kind of like leaning into the fact that like, guess what? We're going to give you points on your birthday that you can use in your account. Go buy yourself a leather bag. And it's been insane. I think that 15x ROI is actually a little low there, Mike, but that's okay.
It's awesome. Yeah, this is one of my favorites for a lot of reasons. Like you said, I think one thing that Portland Leather Goods is really known for, and I think is executed uh, at the highest level in the space, and people should take note of this, is the community that the brand has built behind this. It's not just selling bags to a bunch of random folks. You guys have a massive Facebook group, a massive community of people that are just actively engaged with the brand.
For sure. And that's a huge shout out to our social team and the leaders on that side of the business who just, when it's somebody's birthday or it's something special to celebrate, we try to go out and we celebrate it any way we can, whether it's through the community, whether it's through emails and then through obviously postcards, especially with like our loyalty program. It's fantastic to have that community. And we actually even see people, I think we'll get this later on in the deck, but we see people sharing these postcards within the community. And that's what just gets you really jazzed up to see those wins.
Totally. I think you nailed it. And that's
people share emails, right? I mean, that's what's really fun.
exactly. And to be able to acknowledge that community and these individuals in this tangible way, I think just is so aligned with Portland Leather's general philosophy, or as you articulated, Matt, around treating this community specially and trying to make them feel special. So doing this with a birthday campaign, and for those of you that don't have birthday data on your customers, we actually now have the ability to get that birthday data for up to something like 90% of your customers. So even if you're not collecting it on your own, we can help launch something like this. Again, one of the things that Portland Leather has done really well is utilize the channel across all stages of the funnel. And I think we're focused on sort of the Klaviyo aspect of it, but there's different strategies that you can use. It goes beyond just win back campaigns, for example. Matt touched on, we just talked about birthday campaigns. That's different. That's also something that we can trigger. These VIP experiences like you see here. So again, being able to trigger that off data that we have and layer that on top of email campaigns or email flows that you're sending to this audience is a great touch point. Prospecting, it's something that Portland Leather is unlocked and is having a lot of success with, which is awesome. Less about sort of your Klaviyo list, but just to demonstrate how you can create a full funnel program with direct mail. But Mail Match is a tool that also is really tightly integrated with Klaviyo. And this is a form of new customer acquisition, but of a warmer audience. So these are the people that have actually engaged with your brand by signing up for your email list, but never purchased. So no transactional history. You actually don't have their physical address because they've never bought anything from you. We can match about 70 to 80% of those email addresses to a current physical address. And so with Klaviyo, you can drop this to like the end of your email welcome flow and say, we've got an email welcome sequence that's 7 days long, but if they haven't converted by the end of that 7-day period, we've given email a chance to work. They haven't responded to it. And the longer they go without actually making a purchase, the less likely they are to ultimately convert. So how do we intervene? How do we take action to try and get them to buy before we risk losing them for good? Well, Mail Match is a tool that allows you to trigger a card to go out after they've signed up for your email list, gone a certain amount of time, and then still not bought from you. All right. So I just kind of gave you the whole overview of the retargeting.
Yeah. So and then on this one, I'm excited for this one because you guys rolled out the holdout testing, which I think is fantastic. And the UI is getting so much better in post pilot. So now we're actually with Mail Match, we're testing this strategy with, like you said, Mike, people who have no transactional data. We don't have their physical address, but the intent is there, and they have stuff in their checkout. The flows, 4 or 5 emails, God knows how many texts, did get them. Then we're going to send this, post everything, and see if the postcard is going to convert with matching up the physical addresses, and then just kind of seeing what the iROAS is there with like some holdouts. That's where I'm really excited with Mail Match, because then you can really see, okay, what is driving the end result for our users.
Exactly. And you can attach the same thing to an abandoned cart flow and other types of flows where somebody has demonstrated engagement but not converted. And to your point, Matt, you can look at different cohorts and different strategies and look at the incrementality of those at a very granular level. And it's really about finding the right sweet spot. So it may be that at 7 days, we don't need to send the card yet. It's not delivering a high incremental result. But then we can test different cohorts, say 15 days post sign up or 30 days post sign up. And we know we're going to find wins in there. So it's not about saying like every test, just like Meta, not every piece of creative, not every test you run is going to always deliver the right outcome. It's about testing different strategies, finding the right ones that are working and delivering against your targets, and then scaling those up.
For sure. Yeah, that one, again, really exciting with the holdout testing. So this one's great. This next slide you have here is one of my favorite. It's the VIP retention ones, where you just want to give your best of the best customers just something a little extra special. And occasionally we have these really fun sales where we're adding free things to our best customers' carts. And then sometimes we actually want them to know about it, so that sometimes it's random, sneaky, or sometimes we want them to know that, hey, we're going to be giving away some sneaky good stuff here soon. Be ready to shop because there's limited, create some of that scarcity. And we've actually used a few postcard campaigns for it, which is really fun. And honestly, the ROAS on things like that are just like stupendous to look at.
Totally. And again, you can hit people that might be VIP customers, but are not actively subscribed to your email list, because there's no restriction about sending a postcard to somebody, just like there is if they've unsubscribed from email. So it's a great touch point.
That's a great segment to pull up too. Like talking segments, you should build one for people who are unsubscribed but have placed orders, and you can start to see, like, are they still placing orders and just unsubscribed to email? That's where it gets really interesting.
Totally. We're going to be doing, I won't spill all the details yet.
That's what the webinar is for. Spill the beans, Mike. Let's go.
There's going to be some cool stuff we're rolling out really soon around being able to match and merge multiple profiles at the individual level. So seeing, maybe this email address is unsubscribed, but they're subscribed under a different email, or ordering under a different email. So a lot more to come there. We'll save that for another webinar coming up soon. But yeah, again, it goes back to what we were talking about with Portland Leathers, just overall philosophy around how they engage with their most valuable customers. I love that you all do this kind of stuff, make people feel special, do things that are just engaging. They have ROI attached to them too. Yeah, but they're also just really great for the brand.
Yeah, I kind of touched on it a little earlier, but this postcard, this gets shared across. People take photos of this postcard on the left with the unicorn, and they share it, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, what is coming? What's going to happen?" So you're building up that anticipation with these postcards and this fun creative, and it's just really exciting. It's just a great way to change things up, really.
Love it. Love that so much. And yeah, we talked a bunch about the birthday strategy. I don't think we don't have to rehash what we covered there, but again, it's a gold mine. It's an easy win for a lot of brands, and that delightful touch point.
Yes.
So to answer just a couple general questions about direct mail and, how do I get started? I don't have direct mail experience. Doesn't direct mail take a really long time to launch and create? And the answer is no. It should be really easy. We try and take it all off your plate and make it as easy as possible. I know we work with your team on creative, Matt. We can take on all the creative with our in-house team. Connect, hooking it up to Shopify and Klaviyo literally is like one click each. You could get it done in 5 minutes. Today's Thursday.
Well, creative campaign launch too. Like, it's use the reps that Postpilot has. That's been substantial for us too. We're a tight team at PLG, and being able to say, hey, here's a great segment. What do you think? What do you guys think? What kind of campaign or what kind of flow should we start rolling with something like this? And, you guys go out and build it, which I think is like, that's A plus for us.
Awesome to hear it. I always love to hear it. Yeah, we take a lot of pride in being able to be an extension of your team and the brand's team, and be able to take all this on from strategy, setup, design work, all of that stuff, make it real easy for you. Because you said what I hear from just about everybody, which is we're a lean team here. We don't have a ton of time to do this stuff, but if you can help, it makes it go a lot faster. So absolutely. And then from a launch perspective, I know PLG has a history of running catalogs, and one of the challenges of catalogs is typically that's a 3 to 6 month lead time to lock in creative, find a printer, secure your paper, all of that kind of stuff. This allows for the flexibility of being able to launch in a day if we need to.
Yeah,
and iterate.
We just launched some fun postcards for Houston that we talked about earlier for our Houston outlet store, and they need to land, first week of June. So that's great. Yeah, speed turnaround is obviously something that we rely on.
Obviously more critical as you get towards Black Friday.
Yeah.
Everybody.
Hey, everybody.
I'm man in the chat. I've been quiet.
We'll leave the M talk, I guess. That's fine.
Totally. Yeah, this is what we talked about. You articulated it, Matt, and we just, or we pulled your quote here, which says basically the same thing, like lean on our team so that we can make it really easy for you. So I think we're running right on time, which is good. We don't always do that. So yeah, wanted to open it up for questions. I think the summary here is there's just a lot of low-hanging fruit tied up, ready to be unlocked, especially in your existing customer and email subscriber database that, is easy to tap. And today, in particular, where brands are still struggling with, tariffs and all the macroeconomic uncertainty and things like that. This is just any easy wins on revenue and incremental contribution margin is sort of more important than ever. And being able to tap these types of audiences that are going to be able to deliver that with low cost, high return, much lower cost to generate that incremental profit and contribution margin than probably going out and acquiring a new customer cold right now. Boost your balance sheet, boost your sort of cash position. And we're hearing from tons and tons of brands right now. There's a lot of emphasis on these kinds of strategies because they're so cost efficient and just generally efficient from an ROI perspective. Nobody has sort of a ton of spare resources lying around right now to test and push hard on things that aren't giving them a good return.
To that point, I think at the very least, build those segments out in Klaviyo. Go look at those segments. There's some eye-opening ones that don't ever really get thought of. They kind of just give you new ideas how to expand your business. So that's a great point.
Totally.
Maurizio asks, what makes you different from other similar tools? I guess he's found others. I'd say for a while, it was just us. We sort of built from the ground up to work with Shopify and Klaviyo. And, Mike and I both have run numerous D2C brands. So we've kind of taken our top use cases and worked them into the product. I know close to the customer is not something that always comes through in a webinar, but we know what it's like to run brands. So we built this to have a lot of the features that we'd use, from abandoned carts to automation. Concierge onboarding, I think, is a big thing where we do all the work for our clients. That's design work, strategy work, setup. And then I'd say we print in-house. So we went vertical probably like 2 or 3 years ago. We've got print centers on the East Coast, West Coast, and offshore. And so what that does is a couple things. First, it's time to home. So because we've got a print center on each coast, it greatly reduces the time to home for one of our sends. increase in quality. So it's one of the big things we've heard from a lot of the brands early on when we weren't printing in-house, was that things like skin tone look different, depending on the printer it went through. And that's important for apparel brands and makeup brands, you can imagine. So we brought everything in-house in order to increase the quality, which also then allows us to do things like catalogs, cartalogs, handwritten notes, in larger, just different formats, larger selection.
And I think the biggest things are on top of that, in addition to what you mentioned, Drew, is just expertise and performance. We have far more and better data to be able to use for the targeting here. We work with thousands of brands. We know what works. We've been doing this a long time. We are by far the biggest in the space, and that's allowed us to really get far more learnings and far more data that is ultimately what drives performance, and build a platform that's far more robust than anything that's been created before, or that might exist now, because we've been doing this a while. We know we have a lot of experience in this area, so we've been able to solve all kinds of things that, someone, if you were trying to build a direct mail platform today, the amount of things that you have to solve for to get this exactly right and to deliver the best performance, most reliable results, and clearest reporting. It's a ton.
You sound like you've been through the direct mail ringer a couple times.
A couple times, Drew. A couple times. But yeah. You don't want to work with, you wouldn't hire a Facebook agency that figured out Facebook, 3 weeks ago.
I would say you don't, like you can imagine there, generally speaking, direct mail works better than email or Meta in terms of response rate. Like you're almost always going to get a better response rate from direct mail than you will sending to the same audience via email or putting ads in front of them. But the rub is that it costs more, right? It costs more to send a postcard or a catalog than it does to send an email, or ads are becoming more expensive. But that's always been the rub. It's like, okay, direct mail will get a better response rate from any audience, but it costs more. So it means you sort of have to know what you're doing, right? You're not going to self-serve sign up for Postpilot and send 100,000 cards, right? Because I would recommend against that if you're going to self-serve. That's why we do the concierge onboarding, because we really want a second set of eyes to make sure that you do things that have the highest probability of success. And now we can look back on thousands of campaigns we've sent and thousands of customers and say, like, okay, this is what's going to work for your brand. Now, if you got a food and beverage brand, here's the playbook. Here's where you want to send it. Here's how you do acquisition, retention. Or if you have a apparel brand, leather goods brand, we can say like, hey, this is what kind of works.
We're right about time. Any other questions?
Have we ever done an interactive direct mailer? Scratch and sniff, word search, mini crossword revealing a code, or something along those lines? Would they work? I mean, it's like you can be as creative as you want. I think did we do a scented one at one point?
We did one not long ago. We did a scented one not long ago. Yeah. You do have to run those in a larger quantity at once versus the one-off trigger that we do for these types of campaigns, but we can do them. There was one that I really liked. There are a couple that I like that didn't require any sort of extra, like you could run them just like you run them this way. One was a footwear brand for kids' shoes where they built the shoe like measurement, like the thing you put your foot on, onto the back of the card, so that it became like a keepsake thing. The kid could put their foot on the card and it would be like the shoe measurement tool, whatever that's called. So that was really cool. And then we did stuff for workout brands that put a calendar. I think there was one like booty bands, and it showed like 30 days to like your best booty or something. And it had the calendar on the card. We've done barware brands with drink recipes, but we've also done stuff like, the scratch and sniff or scented stuff as more of a custom thing that we can do.
There's a general rule an old school rule in direct mail that if you make your mailing, like you put it in an envelope with handwriting or something on the outside with the person, they're going to open it, which is why we offer handwriting, which I would say not a lot of people use, so I think it's underused feature of ours, because if you get a handwritten note in an envelope addressed to you, I can almost guarantee every recipient's going to open that. So, and then we have a lot of data that shows that customers that receive a handwritten note go on to spend twice as much with the brand as customers that don't. And there's a lot around like a human touch. So that's another example of something that's kind of different that you could send out. Can you create custom QR codes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dynamic QRs, individually personalized QR codes. So you can do something like it sends them directly back to their cart on Shopify.
Although I would say, I don't know if Mike, you agree with me. Everybody gets fixated on QR codes, but it's like what, 5% of your recipients are going to scan.
Yeah, it's really low. I agree on that one.
It's in I would say it's mentioned on so many sales calls. Like, do you do QR? Yes, we do QRs, but don't look at like the number of scans as indicative of the success of the promo. Right.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what Matt.
I agree with Drew. Like, we put QR codes on quite a few of ours. They go to the homepage. We don't do the dynamic or anything like that, but we do dynamic coupon codes, and that's really valuable to us as we print those based on the user. And
Totally. So they don't leak.
absolutely. So that's fantastic. But yeah, the QR codes, depending on how big you make it too, is going to change. If you make it the whole backside or front side, that's a big deal. Or if you just want them to just be hyper aware that, hey, this is the easiest way to get there, you can do that. But yeah.
Totally. Good to hear.
Make the creative more robust and don't really be concerned with the QR code.
I love to hear you say it because Drew and I preach this a lot. Sometimes it doesn't, don't take our word for it. Take Matt's word for it.
They're going to want to put a QR.
Put the % off over the QR code. That'll crush way more than a QR code.
Totally. Yes. 100% right.
And to Matt's point, the app will generate like unique coupon codes for single-use coupon code for the recipient, which again is, I would say, not the definitive source of attribution either. We can do it. You're going to probably get more people using the coupon codes than scan a QR code.
Yeah.
But we've all run brands. You can put a coupon code on the homepage at the top of every page of your site, and you're still going to have people check out without using that coupon code. So it doesn't totally capture the full impact of the promo, and not to get too technical, but if you want to do that, holdout groups are probably the gold standard. Yeah, that's all the questions. I apologize for the technical difficulties early on.
Well, great. Matt, can't thank you enough for coming on. We appreciate the partnership. We just love the brand and what you guys have built. You, McCoy, Curtis. Product, community, retail. You guys are firing on all cylinders, and appreciate you. Again, appreciate the partnership and appreciate you being here.
Sure. Thanks for having me, Mike. Drew. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah.
Thanks, everybody.